Unidentified objects moving through the sky is not a subject we talk about frequently on this podcast, but it is a subject our listeners are always eager to hear. Tonight, we talk with someone who has witnessed unexplained aerial phenomena while at work, and he's here tonight to share his experience. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hometown Haunts podcast. I am your host, Kat Cloco. Along with me on this exploration into the unknown are my friends Jen Kohler and Christina Wald. So it's been a while since we've done a show. Happy Krampusnacht for everyone who celebrates, or Krampus Night. So yes, I startled little dude with a tale. He found my Krampus ornament and went, "Who is this, Mom?" And I said, "Oh boy, let me tell you about Krampus." And I refused to show him any actual photos of Krampus from Germany.
That's a good idea.
Nightmares would just. I didn't need that drama, but we just kept it to the ornament and we put it up high. So now he knows to be good because Krampus is watching and may
good.
take him away to a dark, scary woods.
Yep.
Different than the one that we were in. So we had American Thanksgiving and Jen had COVID. So
Yes.
how's everyone doing?
I'm doing much better. I thought it only lasted a week and then it came back. So I was out for a good 2-3 weeks with
Jeez.
it. But I'm doing good.
That's
Nothing
good.
new to report. Still don't have a job.
Well, you got your voice back. That's important. Can you
Yes.
smell and taste things?
Yes.
Good.
I really thought it happened a couple days in and I was just like, this is interesting. I can eat anything. And I'm really sensitive to smells in my house.
Mhm.
Because, I have 2 cats and I live in a condo. So other people, when they cook, it comes into my place and it didn't bother me at all. Those 2 weeks, I'm like, I would be okay if I never got my sense of smell back. But it came back.
Yeah. With a vengeance?
No.
Okay. Didn't
Back to
discover
normal.
anything new had happened
Oh,
or
God, no.
broken or anything.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's I'm glad you got your sense of taste back. I remember when Mike lost his and he's like, "I could eat anything." The same statement, and went and ate extremely hot curry. And his response was, "Although I could not taste the hot curry, man, could I feel it throughout the rest of my body."
Oh, wow. That had to be interesting.
Yeah.
No, or at least not that fun.
No, it's
Not fun. No.
So, yeah, it was.
It was weird eating something you knew the taste of because you've eaten it before and not tasting it.
Mhm.
But you still kind of taste it because it's in your brain.
Mhm.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you have COVID over Thanksgiving?
No, it ended right before.
Oh, that's
so
good.
I was able to see the family and
taste turkey.
And taste turkey. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Christina, how are you?
Oh, it's been very busy. I have lots of school visits. I don't know why they all happened at once. Yes. I had one Friday. I was at a museum on Sunday at the Behringer Crawford Museum, and we were talking about the train rolls onto the North Pole, and I read it, and they sold out of all the books, and it was really fun. And a couple weeks ago, I was up. Mazza Museum is a children's book illustration museum, kind of similar to Billy Ireland. And they got some of my work. They acquired some of my work a couple of years ago. And so they also, through them, I was doing some school visits up there. It's in Findlay, Ohio. So I was there for a couple of days of school visits, and that was really fun too. Signed lots and lots of books. And now I'm trying to catch up and finish a couple picture books that I have to illustrate, and I'm trying to finish by the end of the year.
Wow, busy.
Awesome. You can do it.
Yes. Well, I'm also getting my travelogue out. I'm about to upload that to Ingram Spark.
Oh, good. Did everything go okay? with my last
Yes,
edit?
yes, it
Okay.
did. And
Okay.
another friend also edited it. So I'm making final
Good.
edits on that and finishing all the, and I'm
Okay.
going to be experimenting with print on demand because people are raving about Ingram Spark. So I'm thinking about, and then I also,
Okay.
a friend of ours, Vanessa, who I think we talked about her cats on the show before. She recently had her kids' book come out on Amazon Direct, and I thought it looked pretty good. And I thought for the travelogues, I might just do those all Ingram Spark.
Okay. Can you have to be exclusive with them, or can you put it on Amazon?
Most people do
too?
it on both Ingram and Amazon.
Okay.
The thing that's really nice about, and the reason I'm going to do this is because I will not have to worry about international shipping. People all over the world can order it, and they do
Yeah.
not have to pay $20 to $30 to get it,
Right.
just for the shipping.
Right. And you have overseas friends, so that's awesome.
Yes. So that's a big plus.
So when will the book be available for people to buy?
The travelogue should be available in probably about a week.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's just like 60 pages. It's 5.5 inches by 8.5, and it's just sort of a travelogue. It's sort of a daily diary about my month in France.
Nice.
Well, I
that's
thought
great.
it was beautiful since
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I'm
got
glad
to
you
see
liked
it
it.
first.
They're all watercolors, aren't they? And sketches.
Some ink, and some watercolor, and some gouache.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
and
like the
it's like
story about the cows.
oh yes,
Yeah. And the sunflower field.
yeah. There's a lot of harrowing car stories.
That too.
Because it was my first time driving in a foreign country, really, and fortunately, they drive on the same side of the road as we do, but getting used to their completely contactless gas stations, so there was no one there to help you to figure out how to do stuff. And there was also I have this little section about I've never driven a diesel car before, and the car that I had was diesel, and you have to put an additive in your tank called AdBlue, which is for environmental reasons. And when we rented the car, I saw the little light on, and I said, "What's this?" And she said, "Oh, you won't ever have to worry about this. This is no big deal." She said, "It's just something that diesel cars have here." And of course, within a couple of days, like the light was flashing and saying that the car would stop working in 100 kilometers if I didn't get this replenished. And so I was having to stop at all these places and figure out not only what it was, but how it went into the car.
Yeah.
So finally a young man, helped this old lady and he helped me, he put it in my car, and he helped me learn how to pay it and everything. And so it was very nice. A good tip when you're in another country, for some reason my USAA credit card, like when I would put it, it would suddenly do everything in English. So that was really nice.
Oh, that is
is-
an interesting thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a quick catch up.
Yeah. Okay. So other show announcements before we get on to Fred, who's been very patient listening to us catch up for the past few weeks. So my post-apocalyptic monster comic, Spiritus Maximus, has returned after a 4-year hiatus. You can find that on Webtoon. And then on March 2nd, 2024 is the second annual Frogman Fest in Loveland, Ohio. Find out more information at frogmanfestival.org. And I know they have started promoting that, and it looks like it'll be a lot of fun. So I can't wait to see all the cryptid cosplayers once again. I hope they wear squeaky shoes.
I think we should cosplay.
Yeah.
Witches?
We'll decide that later.
TBD. I don't know. I don't usually cosplay because I'm too busy drawing. So tonight, Jen, would you like to introduce our guest for tonight?
Sure. Everyone, this is my brother-in-law, Manfredi Barbi. Fred for short. He is an airline pilot, and over Thanksgiving he said, "Oh, I saw these flying lights." After years of me asking him if he's ever seen anything, this is the first time he saw something. So, Manfred.
Yes.
You want to tell us the story?
Well, yeah. Hello, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
you're very welcome.
Yeah. Especially short notice, Jen was just like, "Hey, my brother-in-law, he's seen UFOs, and we're like, great, let's get him on. And then,
Well, and he's
bam,
actually
here we
home
are.
this week because
Yeah.
normally he's gone quite a bit flying around the world,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I
I'm
just
before we get too much into the story, I do want to know more about your background, and also you used to be a DJ.
Yes.
and also what? Sorry.
You used to be a DJ.
Yeah,
You were
well,
telling us.
that was a long time ago in a different lifetime, in a different country, when I was relatively young, and I used to play around at the radio station. I just started just like doing silly stuff and helping people out, and eventually I end up being on the air, and I had the shows and whatever and on. And it was fun, but it was more like a small radio station from a small town, and it had a limited range. It was an FM.
Mhm.
We had a tower, we had transmitters, and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't anything, not Voice of America by any stretch of the imagination. So that was well before I got into aviation.
Do you
Right.
have tapes?
I don't have tapes. Let's just say that I could probably retrieve some tapes from a friend of mine that still dabbles with radio. He's been doing mostly web radio for the last, I don't know, about 10 years or so.
Okay.
He probably still has something, but I don't know
Okay.
what.
I assume it would be in Italian, so I
It
won't
would be, yes.
understand it, but I would
Yeah.
love to hear it.
Okay. Well, I'll see. I'll have to send out the feeler and see if I can find anything. I'm sure he's got it in some weird arcane format, like a high 8 digital tape or some silly thing, because there were a lot of different strange things that were coming up back then. So we're talking
Yeah.
about straight up in the middle of the 80s, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
So, yeah. But
Yeah.
that was
I
a
didn't
long
know
time
that,
ago. So
Fred.
I haven't done any of that. I still have a good microphone that I can't use for anything anymore, but
Mm.
You could have
Yeah.
used it tonight.
not with the web.
Oh,
I would have to
Yeah.
invest in a serious equipment to interface
you
that
should
with.
hook it up into your sound system and yell at the kids in the
Oh
backyard.
yeah, that's always a good idea.
Yeah.
But it's way too much effort. I can just yell. That's
No,
good
that's
enough.
true.
Yeah,
That's true.
that works for the kids.
Yeah. So what got you into aviation?
Well, I've always wanted to do it. It just ended up being an opportunity, and I tried it, and I was like, I'm hooked. This is it. Aviation is one of those things. I was a flight instructor also for many years, so I did what they called discovery flights. So let's say that you wanted to get into aviation, and you go to an airport, and it's like, oh, I would like to go fly an airplane. I wonder how that works. Well, most flight school offer an intro flight, and is usually at a very discounted rate. So you go in, and you sit down, and you talk about what you're going to do. You go out on the airplane, you look at the things, you get on the airplane, you go fly with an instructor that can fly the airplane, and you get in the air, and it's like, okay, you hold on to it now and you fly it. And it's one of those things that I would always tell people when I would do the demo flights. I would tell them, it's like, just remember, this is crack cocaine. So you're going to try it once, you're going to get hooked, and you're not going to want to stop. And that's pretty much true for most people. Anybody that shows any interest in it, gets into it and tries it and is up there in the air and is like, oh my God, this is so cool. I want to do this every day. And then, from there you go on and you do the rest of it. You get your ratings, you get your licenses, and you become a flight instructor. You go work for the regional airlines, the main airlines, or wherever else you want to go, cargo, air ambulance. I mean, there's a lot of options. And, and that's how I ended up on that one. I've been doing it now commercially since 97.
Wow.
So it's been a few years. I've worked for 2 different regional airlines. And I've gone through the ups and downs of the aviation industry, and I am currently flying private jets. So
Okay.
that's where I'm at right now. So,
But not the
Wow.
company private jets.
Yeah.
Isn't that a company too?
it's a big company. Yes, let's just say that is the bigger fractional company out there without saying the name.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that pretty much gives the idea to anybody that has any idea what it is, they would understand.
Right.
Mhm.
So I always wonder, one pilot to another, do you talk about UFO sightings like people talk about ghost stories? Like my friend
No,
over there.
not a ton. I mean, occasionally that subject comes up, but it's not like the main thing we talk about. It's more
Mhm.
like, adventures that we had on the road. And by adventure, I mean like, crazy stuff that has happened to us, or like stupidity that has to do with like work. Yeah, like it would be office gossip or things
Mhm.
like that, on a regular job. Occasionally we get to talk about this stuff, but not really a whole lot. I mean, most of us have been out there flying for a long time. I've never really seen anything. I mean, I hadn't seen anything until last month. So, you know,
Wow.
that
In
gives you an
all that
idea.
time, that
Yeah.
last
Well, at
month?
least, okay, let me rephrase this. By see anything, I mean, it's like see anything that was not explainable.
Right, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is
I
why I'm
understand.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let
So
me preface before we continue that Fred is the most logical person I have ever met.
Wow.
And when I am going crazy and emotional, I call them up, my sister and Fred up, and I go, I need logic brain. And they give me logic brain to a fault.
There's
And
no
I mean,
fault
he's
there.
he's not Spock level logical, but he's damn near close. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
just that
Well,
needed to be said.
You know,
yeah.
I get it. No, like, Mike, my husband, is also extremely logical and also has witnessed a UFO.
Okay.
Only once.
Awesome.
So it just takes once. But with
Mhm.
that said, Fred, I did not mean that to rhyme. Um, please share your experience with us.
So this was, let's just say the airplanes I fly at relatively high altitude, above what the commercial traffic altitudes are. So we're flying at night. Most of the time, I'm flying day trips. Occasionally, we get those times where you get stuck on a night schedule. And this particular week, I was stuck on a night schedule, which I enjoy because there's less traffic, there's less stuff going on. And I like flying at night. I'm a night person by choice. Now I have kids, so in real life that doesn't happen when I'm home. But when I'm on the road, I can do that. And we were flying not too far north of Cincinnati, as a matter of fact, on basically on a the first night it was a west to east line, basically going through the middle of Ohio. And actually, before we got to that, we were pretty much over Illinois, and we were off the left hand side of the airplane. We were looking at Lake Michigan, and I was flying with another guy, and he was just looking out the window, and he's like, "What are those lights up there? Do you see those?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And it just took me a second. I started looking, and we were noticing some high altitude lights. So we consider that we were at 43,000 feet or 45,000 feet. This stuff was well above us. There is nothing that I know out of the military jets that goes above 51,000 feet, just as a reference. So this stuff was well above that. So the first thought that comes to mind when you see stuff in the sky, and I've seen it before, International Space Station, you see that
Mhm.
going by, satellite that's shining the light, you can see those. Starlink is another one. Those are all pretty obvious and visible because they go in a trajectory. So if you see them, is either crossing one way or the other in front from behind and passing you over, but it's going in the same direction. They're not changing direction. And they're well up there. And this stuff looked at the same height that you would see a satellite, except it was moving at a much faster speed and it was changing directions.
Oh, okay.
And it kind of almost like looked like an aerial fight.
Hmm.
But the strange part of that is that there is it when they do that kind of stuff at high altitude, they're not doing it with the lights on. They're using the electronics, they're doing everything else, they're going stealth, they're not visible. Um, Other factor was that there is an airspace over Lake Michigan that is a military operation area where they do practice and they do things. And we know the military has machines that do things that we are not aware of. That's fine. Um, but when we inquired and we asked air traffic control if there was something going up there, they said, nope, the airspace is cold. There's nobody up there. They were
Hmm.
not showing anybody. So that was like, we're like, are we seeing things? This went on for a little bit and then we just kind of lost track because we had clouds and things and we didn't see it anymore. Well, fast forward to the next night, we're doing the same thing in the opposite direction. And lo and behold, we're seeing the same thing. And at this point, we're like listening. when we fly, we usually monitor on the secondary radio, the emergency frequency, just in case something happens. This is kind of, it's always been the case, but it was been more so after 9/11. So if somebody needs to get a hold of you, you missed a radio call, whatever, you get called on emergency frequency. And we started talking with other pilots that we're monitoring and asking us, like, hey, you guys see the lights? And they're like, yeah, we see the lights over Lake Michigan. What is that stuff? Nobody had any explanation for it. They were doing the same exact thing. And so we were kind of baffled by this whole situation. We were not the only ones. So there were like at least other 4 airplanes that were seeing the same things we were seeing. Air traffic control had nothing. And I have no clue what that was. But I
Wow.
know for a fact that that was not a satellite. That was definitely not Starlink, because those are usually a line of satellites that goes through at the same time. It was not the ISS, because again, same as a satellite goes in a straight line. I no clue.
Was it
So
like a zigzag pattern or like?
it almost looked like it was going on a holding pattern, like a racetrack pattern.
Okay.
But the speeds were not consistent with being doing that. It was just
Okay.
moving at moments of very fast speeds and then not really moving and kind of disappearing and then coming back around again.
So
So
how do you tell how fast it's going? Do you judge it against the speed of the plane?
you judge it based on what you see the objects out there. I mean, I see airplanes flying around the sky all the time, right? So it's just I'm used to seeing what the normal speeds differences are
Gotcha.
from what we're doing, and this did not jive with any of that stuff.
Okay.
So what was it? I don't know. It could be anything. I have no
Yeah.
clue. I can't say that it was necessarily aliens, but
Right.
by definition, this is what you would call a UFO.
Well, yeah.
Because and on our end was unidentifiable. So
It was
I know
what?
my partner filed a report,
Oh,
and he got a call back. I don't think he heard anything. He hasn't told me of any response. It wasn't close. It wasn't anything that, I was like, oh, I just saw the flying saucer next to me. That was not the case. It was at a distance. So it could have been a lot of different things, but it was very strange.
Yeah. Just for our listeners, I'm going to ask it was not a drone.
No, it was definitely not a drone.
can
I don't
None of
drones
those
think
go
they
that
fly
altitudes.
that
high?
high, but I know
No, none
someone
of
in the
those altitudes.
comments.
There's no way. I don't think you're going to be able to fly a drone anything above those altitudes, because you don't have enough air density to sustain flight with that.
Right.
And I mean,
So
I guess they might have something that is jet powered. That is a drone that can go up there, but I don't know about it.
Yeah. No.
so I'm guessing that's close to the stratosphere.
Yeah, I was guessing between 60 and 70,000 feet,
Wow.
if
Yeah.
not above.
Wow.
And satellites are above that.
Yeah.
By quite a bit. But when you get that high, you can't really judge the altitude. I
Mhm.
Yeah.
really have no way of knowing that at all.
Okay. What color were they shining?
It was red and white and green and shifting. So that was a variety. It was kind of almost a pulsating light, but
Okay.
random.
I've heard there's more and more just regular in news stories, more and more low orbit satellites. They said that there's quite a large amount of junk flying around
There
lower
is.
and lower satellite
Mhm.
wise. So I
There is, but
wonder
then
if,
again, when you're
yeah,
talking on orbit, you're talking about, it's following
this was
an
actually
oval
moving
pattern around the
erratically.
Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
which is
unexpected
what made me
pattern.
rule it out.
Yeah, that's what makes it weird is the unexpected movement.
Yeah, is the moving, the changing of direction is what really made it unusual.
Mhm.
And no, it wasn't the space station tool bag that was dropped. I don't think.
It was a giant cat toy.
Possible.
Yeah.
Well, don't you know a cat lives on the moon and needs something to play with?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like one of
Yeah.
their little laser toys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really interesting story, though, Fred. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, it's the only time I've ever seen anything, and I've been over the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean in the middle of the night many a time,
mhm,
and seen nothing. I mean,
mhm.
Aurora Borealis a couple of times, Northern Lights, but
That's cool.
Man.
yeah, those are cool. but no strange unexplained lights that I couldn't tell. Planets,
I
stars, sure, but airplanes,
No unexpected time. All time is accounted for.
yes, as far as I
Okay.
know.
Gotta ask that too. Didn't see any owls.
No.
No, okay. So, and
Yeah.
I'm sure this was recorded on your black box. Does your plane have a black box?
Yeah, well, the black box doesn't really record what you see outside the window.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I mean you talking about it.
Probably that
pilots.
information is long gone.
Oh, it doesn't
It's
say.
not retained. It's anything. So there's two pieces of equipment on an airplane. One is what you call the flight box, is a flight data recorder, and just records parameters from the airplane, like the control movements of the control surfaces or the engines, or all that kind of stuff. And then there is a cockpit voice recorder, which records the voice of the flight crew talking to each other through multiple microphone and the headset and everything else. And those are two separate items, and both of them are really only used for accident investigation.
Gotcha.
They are not allowed to pull them for anything else but.
Okay.
So
there's laws and stuff.
unless something
Okay.
happened catastrophic or bad enough that somebody got hurt
Right.
seriously, that would be the only time would those get pulled off, and
Well,
they
that
cannot
makes
be
sense.
used for they can only use to determine causes, and that's it, not
Right.
culpability or anything else.
Huh.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
That wouldn't have helped in that case, and sadly, I wish, as I'm gone enough, and I carry enough crap with me to be gone for like a week at a time, and not knowing where I'm going to go the next day. So I have to be prepared for everything. So I don't have enough room to carry around a decent camera. So the only thing I have is the cell phone, which at night they're absolutely useless.
Yeah.
So there's no way to get any of that. I didn't even try, because you're going to see
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Well, and if you're moving and the subject is moving, it's going to be real hard unless
Yeah.
it's a video.
Yeah, but mostly there's no light, and I got
Well, that
light in the
too.
background of the cockpit, and I got a window that is multi-paned and reflects lights, and
Well, when you were flying over Ohio, and this was over Lake
Illinois,
Michigan,
Ohio, somewhere in there.
so
Yeah.
I don't. You would need a pretty big camera for that.
Well,
would
when
think.
you're up there, if you go wide angle, you can see a lot, but
You don't know how bad I want to sit in a cockpit and fly with you, Fred, because of the pictures that you have sent. I get so jealous because not very many people get that view on the world.
Yeah.
Even when you're on a plane, you don't see what the pilot sees.
No.
And
that's true.
I could never be a pilot because I would fly. Ooh, pretty lights.
Yes, Jenny would not be good. Jenny would not be good.
No.
So before we let you go, sorry, Christina, what are the typical things you do see in the sky then?
By typical, well, I mean, you got cool stuff that happens because of like rainbows, or round rainbows that you can see, halos and things like that, or going through the top of the clouds. And if you have an airplane in front of you that's going through the top of the clouds, you can see their like wingtip vortices creating the little swirlies up on the top. The view that you have of certain things as you're flying, it gives you a completely different perspective. If you're flying over the Grand Canyon on a clear day with no haze, it's just like you see the whole thing in front of you. But those are the things that we see on a daily basis: sunsets, sunrises. It's just it's a bird's eye view that not everybody gets to see. And even when you're in the back of an airplane, usually you have just a little side window. I have like pretty much the whole front.
Yeah.
So 180-degree view of what's in front of me, and it's at times very nice. A lot of times there's not a whole lot to see.
Yeah.
And it gets boring.
Well, that's what I was going to say, that pilots have discovered some pretty interesting stuff, because there was, like, in Canada, that giant beaver dam that was like the biggest thing they'd ever seen. Like the beavers had built like this giant dam somewhere in Canada, and you could only see it from air.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was really strange. They built something that large. So sometimes you probably see some really weird stuff like that. May not necessarily know what it is, but
no, you see cool stuff. I remember, everybody pretty much knows about the Fermi lab in Chicago. with the particle accelerator. There's two in the world. One is in Switzerland. The other one is in
The
Chicago.
CERN?
Which is,
No?
it's really cool when you're looking at it from the air. You can see the whole circle and where it goes around.
Oh, neat.
Sorry?
I said neat.
Yes, it is. And then I don't know, when I was reading about, there is another lab somewhere, I think it's in Tennessee or Alabama or Mississippi, somewhere down south, where they actually have two buildings in a shape of an L, and they're measuring the Earth accelerations on the two axes,
Oh,
which is
neat.
kind of a neat thing. And I just, I had happened to read an article about it, and then just I'm flying, I'm like, that looks like, oh, sure is.
That is so cool.
Have
You
you
know,
ever flown over Chernobyl? Are you allowed to fly over Chernobyl?
I don't know. I can tell you that nobody's flying over Russia right now.
Well,
So no,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
I was just wondering if
You
we're
know,
not flying
wanted,
over
they
Russia.
could.
We're not flying over Iran. We're not flying over a
Yeah,
bunch
you
of
know,
places that we're not
yeah.
flying.
they
So.
said the CERN. I was obsessed with this a few years ago, and I still have not ruled it out. But they have an artist residency where you go and hang out with the scientists and do art. And I was like, I really wanted to do it, and I have not ruled it out yet. But it looks really cool.
Do it.
I know. Wouldn't that be neat to live in Switzerland for like a month and watch the scientists work and document them and draw them and all that stuff? That would be really cool.
That would be really neat.
Help me figure out stuff I have questions to, but aren't smart enough to figure out on my own. That's when a lot of times I ask Fred, huh?
They can't help you with your taxes, though.
No, that I don't care about. No, it's more like science things I don't understand. A lot of times I call and ask Fred stuff because he knows a lot of stuff, and
yeah.
And what I don't know, I make up and I make it convincing.
Yeah.
So I'll believe him. I'll believe you.
Well, that's why when we've been talking the last couple of days about the Romania trip that we're going to do, and my friend Ioana is a plant biologist, and so I'm always asking her about all the plants, and I always say she could tell me anything. I'd be like, oh, that's really interesting, and she could just make it up, and I'd be like, oh yeah, that's really fascinating.
Yeah. Well, unless you have anything else to add, I do have a question. And we can edit this part out. When did you see these and what time?
Oh,
so I can look up MUFON's records, which is the
good idea.
network.
You will have to give me 1 quick minute, and I'm gonna disappear from video and go get my work phone and find out, because I can give you better information on that. Because otherwise, I won't be correct. So I'll be right back.
Yeah, we can edit this.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. It's just I want to check with the Mutual UFO Network, because if he witnessed it, maybe somebody down in Chicago or around
totally.
Lake Michigan had witnessed it, and I want to just double check.
Or if maybe the other pilots called in or something.
Yeah, or if there's any other people.
And they're in Cincinnati. Where's their building?
Is it a secret?
I don't think it's. Is it really?
Well, right now it is.
Oh.
Well, yeah.
This might take me a minute to figure out.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just. I know I've told the story before, releasing the New Year's Chinese lanterns into the sky.
I remember you telling us that story. That was great.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, I'm sure a lot of times that is what it is. You see something like that and you kind of sort of. But I do know people that have seen pretty significant stuff. Now, one thing in this area, we're very close to the Wright-Patt Air Force Base too, and so like a lot of people saw the Stealth when it was flying and thought it was a UFO because it looks so different from other aircraft and stuff. And I'm sure there's a lot of experimental aircraft that
and weather balloons.
Yeah, exactly.
The amount of weather balloons that NOAA shoots up into the atmosphere to track stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Pentagon budget is so huge. Like they could be doing. If you've ever read, the book about the Pentagon. I think it's called The Pentagon's Brain. It's about DARPA and all that stuff. It's amazing all the money that they have. So much money they can like say, oh, let's do this for a couple months and spend millions of dollars, and they do all of this. Sometimes it's one could argue stupid research, but
Mhm.
they have so much money they could probably test almost anything.
They
Mhm.
could put that money to better use by putting it in my bank account.
Well, I was going to say just for good health care would be nice.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
I was just thinking of men who stare at goats, which is
Yes,
Yeah.
like
exactly. That's exactly the type of stuff they spend money on.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
I've seen it's hard to believe that was an actual thing.
Oh no.
it's not
I can
hard to
believe it. I
Yeah.
mean, up until
There,
fairly recently, they had the parapsychology
Mm.
labs.
Mhm.
mhm,
So they were really trying to figure out if you can really astral project and stuff for spying missions.
Mhm.
mhm.
So, yep, if
Did they
psychics were
did they
right.
find
No,
anything? I'm
nothing
guessing
hard
no.
enough, which is why
Yeah.
it was all ended. It used to
Yeah.
be out of Duke University.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a few different universities. Lloyd Auerbach is one of the last parapsychologists that were trained through the government and through the university system.
Oh,
He's actually
wow.
Dr.
Wow.
Lloyd Auerbach, and
Mhm.
All
extremely
right.
dry man to listen to speak,
Mhm.
but has lived an interesting life.
Huh. You got it, Fred?
Well, thereabouts. It dropped off my thing because it was in October.
Mm.
So it was around the 6th or the 7th of October, and I
Okay.
think both those days. Because yeah, so that's Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, and then came back the other way, Salt Lake City, so to San Jose to Lunken. Yeah. So yeah, the second one was the 8th. So I think it's the 6th and the 8th, if I'm not mistaken. And
Okay.
and it was somewhere around late at night, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Mm.
I'm going to assume Eastern time.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Exciting.
Yeah, well, I'll look through the logs and see if anybody reported anything in that Lake
Well,
Michigan region.
I know my co-pilot did.
Mhm.
And I'll send him a text and see if he's got
Yeah,
any info.
we can
Uh,
always add stuff in post.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, or
Totally.
yeah,
So
yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I can't believe you waited this long to tell me, Manfred. Although I haven't seen much of you lately,
Only
so
been a month, Jen. Jeez.
I used to see them every week. And then COVID happened and
Yeah.
life stuff happened, so it's
Mhm.
hard to pin them down anymore
Yeah.
with the kids and their schedules and all that. So,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
never know when you're going to be home.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Fred. This was great.
Yeah,
well,
thanks,
Yeah.
Fred.
thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should
Wish I
we
could
let
give you
you
more
go?
information, but
No,
No,
this
that
is
this is a
cool.
lot. This is a
Actually,
lot of
yes, it's a
information.
lot. That's why I said you should come on because not most people do not have that amount of detail
Mm-mm.
or that
Yeah.
perspective. Because
Yeah.
Right.
most of the
Yeah.
time people are seeing it from the ground, not from
yeah,
the sky.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because that's pretty high up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you also have the professional eyes to make judgments for height and speed and
Yeah.
when things are not performing as they normally predictively do,
Yes.
Yeah.
which us normies on the ground were like, "Gee, Bob, that looks like a flying ball." Like,
Yeah. And it's a hot air
yeah,
balloon or something. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a Chinese
Yeah.
hunter
Well,
that I live outside.
I just texted the other pilot I was flying with, and he told me that if he heard anything about it, and he said, no, a lot of people. I told a lot of people about him, and nobody knows anything, and a few friends think I'm crazy. The reporting center, there are multiple reports that are almost identical to what we saw,
Oh.
and
Okay.
some from the Middle East. That's what he says.
Okay.
So I guess we're
Yeah.
not the only one. That could very possibly be some sort of military technology that we're not aware of. That's
It's
the
true.
more likely scenario. But
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. That sounds like that. I mean,
There's that Spock logic.
well, I was thinking there's probably a lot of reason why people would be training their their military technology.
Yes, especially right now. But it's a lot of the time, especially when I was an active paranormal investigator, usually it was an Occam's razor thing. This is the most obvious thing that it was. It's not a ghost, it's rats or a raccoon.
Yeah.
Or, oops, you
A
may
lens
have too
flare.
much carbon monoxide or dioxide in your house. You may want to
Yeah.
get a meter and open a window or something. Or, hey, pal, you're on drugs. Like,
Yes.
there's a lot of other explanations before we just jump immediately to the paranormal. But it's always good to know, like, to share these stories because
Mhm.
then other people can know that if they see something, they can say something and somebody will listen. And,
Well, and especially from people like Fred who are not given to flights of fancy.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
So apparently there's plenty of other reports about the same kind of thing that we've seen. So
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
so I guess eventually maybe one day we'll have some answers.
Yeah, maybe in like 50, 70 years.
Yeah.
We-
In
Well, you'll
70
be
years,
gone, Fred.
somebody on their
Well,
deathbed.
thank you, Fred. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining.
Nice
Thank
to
Thanks
you
for
see
so
you.
having me.
much.
Have a great night.
Thanks,
Mhm.
Fred.
Bye.
I'll see you later.
Yeah, that was really interesting. I will have to look up the MUFON records to see what has been reported, and then we'll report back in a later episode. Uh, if anything, I'm sure if his co-pilot was saying that there was other people who had witnessed things, we'll find more
Yeah.
information. But
Well, the
that is
two
fascinating.
two things that got me about his story was one, the way the lights were moving,
Mm-hmm.
and two, that he and his co-pilot weren't the other only people
Mm-hmm.
that saw
Yeah.
it. Other pilots did.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
Yeah.
somebody else filmed it too.
yeah.
Maybe. It- Who knows? Like we can dig a little bit and see what was reported. And yeah, that was an amazing story. I like having it from a different vantage point too. Thank you,
Yes.
Jen, for
Sure.
bringing Fred onto the show. And this is my obligatory to all of our listeners. If you have seen UFOs, please write in. You can write it into hometownhauntedmail@gmail.com or join our Facebook group and share your stories there.
And
So,
we're always hearing from new listeners, so there's no
yes,
excuses.
yes. Thank you to all of our new listeners that we got in 2023. We did nothing but grow this year, which is fantastic news. I was looking through all the analytics, some of the background information about how the show is made. We look at the background the information where who's listening and what are they listening to. Burnett Woods by far and away was the most popular episode 75.
That
Um,
doesn't surprise me at all because it has such a large amount of lore around it.
It does, and boy, howdy, it was 76% more listened to than any other
Oh
show
wow.
that we've produced, and we've now produced 94 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, with
So,
the college right there, I can imagine a lot of people. There
mhm,
are a ton of people
Oh, there were
familiar.
so many legends about it
Yeah.
when I was in school, even. Like, it was supposedly very dangerous. Like, they told you
Yeah.
not to walk there by yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
If you're a
I heard
woman
that.
or any person, and, it had a lot of,
Mhm,
you know,
yeah.
rumors.
So, as we tick closer to 100 episodes, I do have a call out for all of our listeners. I have not talked to you two about this, but I would love for suggestions for shows for us to do. I know one of them is Cults of Ohio. I'm
Mhm.
still researching that. It is surprisingly difficult to find information. So, that was an interesting interview with Fred. If, like I said earlier, if any one of our listeners has their own UFO stories to share, you can share it on our Facebook group and at hometownhauntedmail@gmail.com. You can also follow us at Cincy Cabinet of Curiosities on Instagram and join our Hometown Haunts Facebook group. And of course, it doesn't have to just be UFO stories you send us. It can be any paranormal or strange history that you have from your neck of the woods. You can also find our podcasts at Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. And of course, you can watch our show feed on YouTube. Just find us by searching for Hometown Haunts on all of your different podcast listening devices. And please take a moment to rate and review us on those platforms so other spooky lovers just like yourself can find the show. Link in the show notes, of course. So, this was a very exciting episode. Thank you, Jen, for bringing Fred onto the show.
You're
And
welcome. Thank you for having him.
mhm, yeah, that was great. So, for Christina and Jen and myself, good night and stay spooky. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.